Alright, good evening ladies. In today's video it's going to be absolutely action-packed with alpha, all about runes. Which are the best runes to buy? I'm going to give you like a breakdown of all the best projects, all the best coins on runes, and on top of that I want to actually discuss whether I'm long-term bullish on runes or if I just think they're a short-term hype cycle fad. So first, before we get into like which are my favorite rune coins, which ones, like I'll give you all the information and I want you to make your own decision on which runes you might think is your favorite, but I'll give all the information. You can do your own research and make your own decisions. Before we go into those projects, I actually want to just do an overview on whether or not there is a massive opportunity here with runes, or if it's already too late, if it's already just a fad. So the first thing we'll mention is, of course, that at the moment there's no real utility that you can do with runes. Maybe in the future there will be, which we'll talk about. But at the moment, all you can really do is create meme coins. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because meme coins seem to be like the hottest narrative, or like undoubtedly the hottest narrative of this cycle so far. And maybe AI is a close second, or not even a close second at this point. Memes have really just taken over this cycle. They're the main thing everyone's looking at, so far anyway. And if you look at the market caps of Solana memes and Ethereum memes, you can see that the relative market caps of these Bitcoin memes that have just launched is minuscule. And even though a lot of these pre-runes projects have pumped quite a lot and now are having a small dip, they're nothing in comparison. It's like they're still like at least 10x upside when you're comparing to Solana or Ethereum meme coins. So there is potentially a big opportunity here in the long term, in my opinion. To add to that, like, what are the chances that Ethereum or Solana are still around in 50 years' time? You know, who knows? Maybe it's a flip of a coin. What are the chances that Bitcoin will be around in 50 years' time? Like, again, who knows? But probably the chances are a lot higher that Bitcoin is still around in 50 years as opposed to Ethereum or Solana. So that means these meme coins, these early runes, these early meme coins on Bitcoin are the most likely to still be around in 50 years when you compare them to Ethereum or Solana memes. Now, of course, maybe they could bridge over to runes, those meme coins, but like there is maybe potentially some provenance to being an actual Bitcoin first meme coin, if you get me. Of course, there's BRC20s, which were the first token standard on Bitcoin. However, in my opinion, it's probably likely that runes ends up being the final token standard on Bitcoin, like the ERC20 of Bitcoin. Like maybe something better comes along, but in my opinion, there's a high probability that runes are the final form of tokens on Bitcoin. So yeah, long term, I definitely think runes is something that you want to keep on your radar, and you want to have a good idea of what's going on in the runes ecosystem. Now, we don't know if the top rune coin, the top meme coin of Bitcoin, has even been created yet. Potentially it already has, but potentially another one comes along in a few months' time that just really catches the narrative somehow. Just like with Solana, the Bonk was one of the first main meme coins, and then Whiff came along like a year later after Bonk and actually overpassed it. So that could happen. But I still want you to be up to date on what the top projects are on Bitcoin right now that have just launched. So there is bullish things about runes, like being on the biggest chain with the most capital. Like obviously that's bullish, but we also have to admit that there's some bearish things about runes as well. Like the trading experience at the moment for trading runes is absolute garbage. And like it's barely an improvement on BRC20s. Like the only real difference is that you don't have to inscribe a transfer. Like you'll already have like a few blocks of amounts that you can sell. But if you want to sell even less than that, you still have to inscribe a transfer and then list it. So you have to do 2 transactions to sell it, which is obviously a pain in the ass, especially with how high Bitcoin fees are right now. And how slow they are. It can be up to like 30 minutes for your transaction to get fully through, like with 3 confirmations on the Bitcoin blockchain, like on average. Now, one of the other improvements that Runes has over BRC20s is that it's actually Lightning and therefore layer 2 compatible. So because it's built on the UTXO model and it's not built on the ordinal theory model, it's like you don't have to inscribe. It's kind of like using the unspent transaction outputs, the UTXOs. So it's much more easy to integrate it onto Lightning. So eventually, if there's Bitcoin layer 2s, it's going to be very easy to trade these runes. You're going to be able to trade them, or like the implementation of being able to trade them is going to be much easier for developers to make. And I don't think that will be the only UX improvement. it's quite clear that Binance and a lot of these big exchanges are going to want to list the biggest meme coins on Bitcoin soon, and eventually, if not soon. So the trading experience is going to be improved by SEX listings and potentially some bridges to Solana, for example. Like you could bridge some of these meme coins over to Solana and trade them on a Solana DEX. I think that's also very likely to happen at some point. So the trading experience, the UX, is definitely going to improve over time. So the fact that it's hard and confusing at the moment is potentially a bullish thing. It means a lot of people are just like, oh, I'll wait till it's a bit easier and then I'll work out how to do it. So if something's hard, that's sometimes a good sign to jump in. It means other people are being too lazy to do it. Now, it's not completely impossible. Like, I do recommend you watch a few videos before you start trading these rune coins, but like, you can just trade them on Magic Eden. You can buy and sell them in batches, and if you want to mint them, we're going to talk about that at the end of this video. It's a little bit more tricky, a little more things you need to know about. But yeah, if you want to buy and sell them, you can do it on Magic Eden, or you can do it on Unisat. Magic Eden's a bit of a easier UX. However, Unisat has these Unisat points. So if you're trading on Unisat, eventually you'll get an airdrop for doing that. So I'll probably be trading on Unisat for that reason. But like I said, the fact that these are layer 2 compatible, these runes, like right now there's no utility, but because they're on a layer 2, eventually they could be used for something like stable coins, because their transaction fees and their transaction speed, it will be a lot faster on a layer 2. And because it's on top of the biggest chain in the world, the most decentralized chain, like there is some potential use case to runes further on in the future. I don't think there's been much projects being built on the runes ecosystem yet, like legitimate utility projects. That will probably take a while, but it's not like, the more utility that can be built on the rune standard, the higher the meme coins will go, in my opinion. Like, the reason Solana meme coins are doing so well is because people see that the actual Solana blockchain is so useful. And obviously because the UX is great on Solana as well, but also because people are bullish on Solana because, there's a lot of fundamental value for Solana. So therefore the top meme coins on Solana should be doing well as well. So it's unclear if the top meme coin has actually been launched. The reason being, like, all of them, you'll notice, have 12 to 13 characters. That's because Casey Rodamore, the guy who created the Ordinals theory and also now the Runes protocol, didn't want people to hog the 4-letter tickers straight away. So he said you have to do 13, and then you can do 12, and then you can do 11. So eventually over time the tickers will get smaller. So that's why I think there's a potentiality for a better ticker with, like, obviously having a 13-letter name is like, all of these names are quite weird and don't really roll off the tongue when it comes to a meme. So eventually, as the Runes protocol goes on over time, the tickers will get smaller. So that's one reason that maybe the top one hasn't even launched yet. But let's talk about the coins that actually have launched yet. So let's take a look at the top coins right now by market cap. So as you can see, the biggest coin that's actually launched already is RSIC. And this, if you remember, if you watched my Ordinals video, this was airdropped to a lot of the Ordinals community. And basically you were mining or pre-mining these rune coins before the actual Runes protocol launched at the Bitcoin halving date. So this has a market cap. This one, RSIC, has a market cap of 200 million. And the actual biggest market cap is this one, ZZZ. And that was actually the number 2 inscribed rune coin. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But just by market cap, I don't think that actually is legitimately the top one, because that's not fully minted out yet. So the RSIC is fully minted out, and at a $225 million market cap, or euro market cap, like, does that seem way overvalued when there's like probably 15 Solana meme coins that have that market cap and plenty of meme coins that are in the billions? I think RSIC, let's talk about RSIC for a minute, because I do think RSIC, and if you want to see these tickers by market cap, you can find all this on OKX. I'll link it in the description. RSIC, like I said, was airdropped to the Ordinals community. They spent a lot of money actually airdropping it to everyone. I think like 200k, 300k. So they put some money in behind this to make it Like, they put some money in behind this to airdrop this to everyone, and then again to actually airdrop the tokens to everyone. So they did some very, very interesting things by saying, like, their whole messaging was kind of unique, mysterious, original, and they were pretty much the first runes project. Like, they were the first runes project before runes, like straight away after Casey came up with the runes protocol. So I would kind of consider RSIC at the moment to be the blue chip runes project. Probably has the lowest risk and potentially not the highest upside, but I still do think it has good upside, being only 200 mil valuation. So I got airdropped. So I did get airdropped a decent amount of these tokens, but personally I'm just going to hold them. I think this can go a good bit higher over time, so I'm just going to hold them all and see what happens, because what's the fun in selling? The other thing I would mention, they do have some ties to Memeland. So if you know Memeland, the 9gag CEO, that website 9gag, he created an NFT project on Ethereum, and now he's creating a meme coin called Meme, and they have some ties with RSIC. So I think the meme coin holders are going to get airdrop some RSIC as well. So RSIC are making moves, and they're a strong, competent team. Another important factor potentially when looking at what are the best meme coins is the provenance, or the best rune coins is the provenance. So which ones actually came first? Because just like with ordinals, these are actually numbered. So the first one to be etched, it's like the first meme coin to actually be created, was Casey Roddenmore's Uncommon Goods, and that's going to be minted over the next 4 years, or like the number 0 one at the top there. So you can just kind of ignore that one. But the second one is that ZZZ whatever one. I think that's still minting out. And as you can see, RSIC got the number 8 spot. So Casey wanted to have the number 0 spot because he didn't want just some random team to get the number 0 spot. And then it was a huge gas war or transaction fee war to get the other ones. So RSIC are coming in on number 8. The number 8 runes. So number 8. So still pretty good. Now we'll talk about some of the other ones that have made it onto this list. Now, do I think provenance really matters long term? Yes, I know. I think in the short term, provenance probably matters the most. But over the long term, people care less and less about provenance. And it kind of becomes more about the actual meme. I think the meme is more important in the future. Like if you look at the top ordinals collections, like Node Monkeys and Bitcoin Frogs were kind of very early, like the first 10k PFP collection. And I think the actual first 10k PFP collection was Bitcoin Punks, or it was Honey Badgers. Like there's a lot of debate which ones were actually first, and at the moment, like which ones are, like 1 year later from the ordinals protocol being launched, which are kind of dominating. It's the Bitcoin Puppets, which only came out very recently. So it's kind of the meme that, matters more than provenance in the very long term. But in the short term, it's definitely something to be aware of. And potentially in the long term, it's also an added bonus. Like it's not a bad thing necessarily. So the earlier, the better, but it's not the end all and be all, like which one's going to be the top one. So now I want to talk about Wanko Manko, and this is number 4 in market cap. Now, there are other projects that haven't actually launched into their runes yet, so there will be higher market cap ones that are getting launched, which we'll talk about. But Wanko Manko, this one has kind of popped off, 30 million market cap. The reason it's popped off, obviously it has a weird name, but also it has some ties to Casey Roddenmore himself. So he was kind of not so much backing it, but talking about it a bit. As you can see, it's on a little bit of a pullback here. You can see this charts, like you can kind of chart them on OKX. Obviously this is still very new, but it's had a bit of a pullback. It's endorsed by Casey Roddenmore, and it doesn't have a huge market cap. I don't own any Wanko Manko myself, but because I actually don't have any Bitcoin left in my wallet. But it is something I probably would have bought a bit of if I had the Bitcoin there. Anyway, now the number 4 here in provenance terms is Doggo to the Moon, and this is Leonidas's project. So if you got airdrop one of those runestones, the snapshot was taken for this Doggo to the Moon coin already, so they obviously plummeted in price, the actual NFTs, once the snapshot got taken. But if you held one of them for the snapshot, you will be getting airdropped the Doggo to the Moon, and it got that number 4 spot, so pretty cool for Doggo to the Moon. And actually, I think the ZZZ Fehu one, I think that might be the CyberKong's meme coin. I'm not actually 100% sure on that, but it could be the CyberKong's meme coin. And the fact that they got the number 2 spot is pretty sick, so fair play to them. But anyway, moving on to the doggo to the moon. That's Leonidas's project, and he's a top guy in the ordinal space. Seriously good influencer, has a lot of influence in the ordinal space, and paid a lot of money to airdrop these NFTs as well. But doggo to the moon, like, it's just a cute dog, I guess, but it's potentially not the best meme coin in my opinion. It's kind of a bit unoriginal. So I kind of like, when a meme coin is just a bit more original. I guess all the dog meme coins do well, dog with hat, Doge, etc. Or I guess there's not a huge amount of differences between them. But anyway, there we go. Potentially it will do well. I think on the pre-market it's worth a few $100 million anyway. So, if you're getting airdropped it, see what happens. If you're looking at this project for the long term, if you actually hold a Runestone, there's going to be 3 more coins that you'll be airdropped. So the Runestone dropped like 75% in price, but there's actually 3 more coins to come out for that. Now, obviously, doggo to the moon is probably going to be the biggest one because it was the first one, but maybe Runestone over the long term, like the next coins aren't going to be for a long while. But if you're more of a long term thinker, you could look at getting a Runestone if you're bullish on Leonidas. The next one is Pups. Now, this hasn't launched yet, but I've talked about this before. It was created by Farmer Joe, and these rune pups were all airdropped to Bitcoin Puppets holders, and they're not tied directly to the Bitcoin Puppets project, but Farmer Joe just went ahead and did this. So the Bitcoin Puppets got a percentage of the supply in these rune pups, which will be like, they'll all be tradable for the Pups token, and you can also trade the Pups token on Solana, and you can also trade it as a BRC20s, and so all of these will eventually be converted into the Pups rune coin. And the good thing about Pups is it has Ansem backing it, and obviously when Ansem is backing it, like, Ansem is the main character of this cycle so far. He did lose that fight recently, but maybe he won't be the main character, but he is backing this coin, and stuff that he shills and stuff that he's been backing has tended to do well, and it's probably positive EV to buy what he first shills potentially. Now, I went ahead and bought a decent bag of Pups when he mentioned it at like $20, so it was still quite late, but they're still up, and they went all the way up to like $80 or something. So they're on a bit of a pullback, but the fact that the Bitcoin Puppets approved the Pups meme coin, like, that's a good sign. If you're bullish on Bitcoin Puppets, probably Pups will do well as well. The next one we're going to talk about is Wzrd, and if you know this OG Bitcoin Wzrd meme, you've probably seen it around, but it's a really, really OG Bitcoin meme, and it was just basically the thumbnail for a Reddit thread. Is that what it's called? Reddit subreddit, whatever. It was the profile picture about the Bitcoin Reddit place, like the place where people discuss Bitcoin. I don't use Reddit, but everyone really loved that meme at the time. So a lot of OG Bitcoiners, that meme has a special place in their heart. So this is actually created by the guy who created that meme. So, kind of cool. But one thing is that I discussed the Wzrd thesis in my Telegram. I told my Telegram when I was buying it. So if you want to join my Telegram, I'll leave the link in the description. It's more up to date on everything I'm doing, everything on all my plays. So if you want to join that, go for it. But they did kind of F up the Wizards team. They tried to raise like 20% of the supply for themselves for marketing, and it came off very, very greedy and stupid. And that was after I already bought, so I was real annoyed about that. So it went up a decent amount, crashed that back down, but they reversed their decision, and it's still, the price is quite down. Like, obviously the team, like, were a little bit incompetent to make that decision in the first place, so I'm a little bit less bullish on the Wzrd token because of that. But they are still the original creators of that meme, and they're not doing that anymore. So I'm just going to be holding my Wzrd as well. Alright, so that's the main Bitcoin memes that are already live. But I want to talk about if you actually want to go ahead and mint new, like the ones that are just being minted right now. Obviously, like, if you're buying into a a mint that's just going on, there's a lot more risk, but potentially a lot more upside, because basically all you're doing is paying for the transaction fee. You don't have to, like, you're getting it for free plus the transaction fee. So, but there is still some risk. Like, you have to watch out if there's a big pre-mine. So whoever etches, like, I can go ahead and etch a meme coin right now, and I can keep 80% of the supply for myself. And if people are stupid enough to mint it, then I can just dump on them later, because I'll have 80% of the supply. So just watch out. You want a low supply owned by the creator. So where can you actually mint or etch these runes? You can do it on Luminex or Genie Data. So Luminex is probably the better one. I'm not really doing this right now myself, but I just want to show you how to do it. If you like, I'm more interested in the safer plays. I don't need to be extremely degen going and trying to mint new ones. But if you are going to do it, make sure you learn about the transaction fees. Look at the last transaction fees on the mempool, and make sure you're paying a good bit higher than the average transaction fee. Otherwise, if your transaction doesn't go through, if your transaction will be stuck there, if everyone's paying higher fees than you, your transaction fee will be stuck on that block, and it won't go through until the transaction fees come down. But by that time, that will already have minted out, so you'll lose your transaction fee. So that's obviously a stinker. So you want to pay a little bit higher than what the last few blocks were paying. You also want to watch out for low holder counts. You want to look for ones with higher holder counts. Obviously a better sign. If there's more holders, there's a more distributed supply, so less people gonna dump on you. Alright, that's all for today's video. I'm very bullish on runes actually in the long term. I think they're, somewhat slept on. Everyone's saying it's a sell the news event, it's a fad, which makes me a little bit thinking potentially they're wrong if everyone thinks that. So I do think runes are going to be something that should be paid attention to this cycle. Like, Bitcoin and Solana are really the ecosystems to be watching for this cycle. There's ordinals and runes now on Bitcoin, so very interesting stuff. So thank you so much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.